Hi everybody, it's Ernie Sabella, the voice of Pumbaa from The Lion King. And I'm telling you to like this video and subscribe to Carny's YouTube channel.
Hey guys, it's Carny. How's it going? Fellas, good to see you. Ladies, oh my god, I didn't even see you come in. But I'm so happy that you're here. So today we're talking about Nepo babies. What's the deal with Nepo babies? How is this a thing that exists now? Well, we may have only come up with the term in recent years, but Nepo babies have actually been around for a long time. Let me rephrase that. Nepo babies are a problem that we've had for a long time. What's that problem called? Feudalism. But Carny, we live in America. That's a republic. We don't live under feudalism. Oh, is that so? Are you sure about that? Like, are you really sure about that? Can I speak in any sentence form that isn't a question in a snarky fashion? Well, let me ask you 5 more questions, and by the end of it, I think we'll have gotten to the bottom of this Nepo baby thing. Question number 1. A Nepo baby is someone with a rich and/or famous parent that provides them opportunities and also provides them advantage when the child takes advantage of those opportunities. But what do you mean rich and/or famous? Aren't they all famous? Not necessarily. They are not all famous, but they are all rich. I would argue that being rich is actually more kind of the point when it comes to Nepo babies than being famous. Case in point, Taylor Swift. Yes, Taylor Swift is a Nepo baby. I gotta call it like I see it, guys. Oh, but Taylor Swift isn't a Nepo baby. I would argue she is. Let's recount the beginning of Taylor Swift's career together. She had a dream of being a singer, so her family moved from Pennsylvania to Nashville so she could walk door to door with demo CDs, giving them to every record label so she could try to make her dream come true. It sounds sweet, doesn't it? Well, let me say it again in different words. A stockbroker for Merrill Lynch and a mutual fund marketing executive walk into a bar. They meet, get married, fuck, and have a couple of kids. One of those kids is pretty good at singing. So in between letting her hang out at the Christmas tree farm they bought from one of their clients and dropping her off at her Montessori school, they think to themselves, wow, our kid really likes country music. We should try and help her play country music. But country music is all the way in Nashville, and we live in this neighborhood of Pennsylvania. Oh wait, I just remembered. I can just get transferred to the Merrill Lynch office in Nashville. Duh. Let's uproot our lives in a way that would financially cripple any other family and let the little scamp take some guitar lessons in the same town Faith Hill lives in. How does that one sound? Does she sound like an underdog to you in that one? Now let me be clear. As Obama in front of a podium. I'm not saying this means Taylor Swift is not talented. I'm not saying this means she doesn't work hard. I am not even saying that this means she does not deserve her success. I am saying she would not have even had a chance to be successful if her parents were not rich. And that is what a Nepo baby is. On to question number 2. The feudal system was a political, economic, legal, cultural, and military system that was prevalent in Europe from the 9th to 15th centuries. It was characterized by a hierarchical social structure where the land-owning elite governed the common people. Sound familiar? Back in the day, the common man had to deal with Baron Blackrock breathing down their neck, trying to get rent for the month. And today we have BlackRock. Easier to say, harder to overthrow. I always point to one thing when I'm arguing that we live in a modernized neo-nobility feudal system. The COVID Imagine video. I also affectionately refer to this moment in pop culture as the death of celebrity, because it feels like it's just really never been the same since this. In some ways, this was a very unifying moment for normal people. Everyone hates the elites. We just disagree on whether the red or the blue ones are worse. This video so perfectly encapsulated what everyone had kind of started to realize about society during COVID. We were literally being patronized by millionaires in mansions while normal people were dying. And we said, no thank you. Never before this had we had a moment where the distinction between us and them was made so obvious. But like I said, it's not because they're famous. It's because they're rich. They bought their way out of the pandemic, and they still took a break to try and get us to pat them on the backs for being such amazing human beings. One of my favorite movies of all time is called A Knight's Tale. It stars Heath Ledger. It's got an amazing cast, really good story. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I watched it all the time growing up. It's a great movie in its own right, but it is also probably one of the best, clearest, most easy to understand representations of the feudal system that I've ever seen. In this movie, Heath Ledger is a peasant who starts pretending to be a knight so he can compete in the athletic competitions that are reserved only for the nobility. I recommend this movie anyway, but I think you would be very surprised at how much the story of a peasant trying to infiltrate the royals would be something you could identify with in a modern world. On to question 3. So why do I keep saying that Nepo babies are the modern equivalent of like royalty or nobility? Why do I do that? It's because they are. On to question number 4. All right, fine, I'll explain it. In a feudal system, everything is kept within the family. If you were a duke or a baron, your kids got first dibs on the cookie jar. And it was to the point that it was even made illegal for other people to even get their hand near the cookie jar. But that was back then, though. They would never do something like that to us now. Right? When you see the sons and daughters of actors getting the first dibs on these acting jobs, it's the same thing. It's them getting first dibs on the cookie jar. It's not just them taking the job. It's them taking the opportunity to try for the job. In an article for The Guardian, Martha Gill points out some very interesting aspects of how Nepo babies are treated in the world. She brings up how nepotism isn't just about people getting their first chance, it's about them getting their second and their third chance too. It's about moving, pretend these are goalposts. It's about moving the goalposts for Lily Rose Depp, who is a model, a 5'3" model. Now, if people know anything about models, they know that usually they're pretty tall. Seems like an exception to the rule was made for my girl Lil, but that's probably just a coincidence. I don't know this for certain, but I'm confident that if you put Kendall Jenner or Lily Rose Depp on America's Next Top Model back in like 2007, Miss J would have torn them to pieces. Yet they get to be on the runway when others don't. And it's not just about the job opportunities, it's about the resources available to you. There's a Zooey Deschanel interview where she's just adamant that she is not a Nepo baby.
Because people will be like, oh, like nepotism. I'm like, no, my dad's a DP. Like, no one's getting jobs because their dad's a DP. Like,
now, I believe her when she says that her parents didn't, call in favors and pull strings to get her in Elf. But in the same interview, she says this.
My mom would coach me. Like when I didn't have an acting coach, she would like coach me. My dad would also like read lines with me and give me great direction. And and then having a sister who's an actor, it just it makes you just like automatically have a community.
This is being a Nepo baby. Having a parent at home that can train you at a skill most people can only get training for at overpriced once-a-week classes is an advantage. Having a parent that views acting as a real job and doesn't discourage you from doing it in the first place is an advantage. But when I think of a mother trying to foster her daughter's desire to perform, I don't view that negatively. Should I? Let's go to question number 4. In the same Guardian article I mentioned earlier, Gill makes a very interesting point. Isn't it natural that parents want to help their children? Yes, and that's the problem. Nepotism is hard to root out as you are fighting against one of the strongest human instincts. Parents devote their lives and fortunes to giving their sprogs even the tiniest of head starts. It would be insane to ask any parent to not help their children succeed in any way they could. My dad has spent his whole life trying to give me opportunities that he didn't have. If I had kids, I would also try to give them opportunities that I did not have, including the ones that I did have because of my dad. So what does that mean? I don't know, man. As Uncle Phil once said,
nobody does anything without help, Will. People open doors for me, and I've worked hard to open doors for you. It doesn't make you any less of a man to walk through them.
And we're totally okay with that when it comes to the normal day-to-day people that we meet in our lives. So why aren't we okay with it when it comes to Nepo babies? It's actually quite simple. It's because when rich people do it, it's just not fair. It is not fair that Olivia Jade got to go to USC and skip class all the time and not do anything, and someone else who worked really, really hard to get there did not get that opportunity. And when the type of money that these people have gets involved, it's more likely that that innocent instinct to, give your kids a leg up will turn into probably unethical, potentially illegal behavior. And it's difficult because people don't just have concerns about individual situations where Nepo babies get an advantage. People have legitimate concerns about the fact that those advantages exist for them in the first place. And it's hard enough to swallow that reality as it is, but it's even harder to swallow when you see how the vast majority of Nepo babies respond to these legitimate concerns. Which leads me to our final question. I'm so sick of people blaming nepotism for why they aren't rich and famous or successful. Obviously, it's not fair that people who come from famous families are getting a leg up because of that, but guess what? Life isn't fair. If you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. Tweeted Lottie Moss, the sister of supermodel Kate Moss. This tweet was deleted about as fast as I assume you think it was. In an article for the LA Times, Robin Abkarian compiled a number of quotes from Nepo babies. Quotes about how they all have actually worked really hard. Quotes about how they haven't received any help at all. Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., tweeted, "My dad told me, in a perfect world, I would play him in Straight Outta Compton. I accepted the challenge and auditioned for 2 years before getting the role. Once the door was opened, it was up to me to walk through it and thrive." That's right. Ice Cube's son did it all by himself. Ice Cube's son was only able to play Ice Cube in a movie that Ice Cube produced because of his own hard work. It was all about his own talent. He had to grind harder than anyone else. Truly a self-made man. The internet cares a lot more about who your family is than the people who are casting you in things, actor/model Lily Rose Depp told Elle magazine. Maybe you get your foot in the door, but you still just have your foot in the door. I would love to respond to this, but nothing I say would be better than a response that somebody on Reddit had that they included in this article. Getting a foot in the door is the hardest part of show business, and these people are born with a foot in the door. Now, does anyone acknowledge the massive privilege that comes along with being a Nepo baby? Actually, yes. Jack Quaid referred to himself as immensely privileged when he was asked about being a Nepo baby. Ethan Hawke said that someone criticizing him for casting his daughter as the lead in a movie he was directing would be totally fair. Maya Hawke openly admitted in an article from Variety that she may not deserve her success, but she's genuine enough to admit that that's not going to stop her from pursuing her dreams. I won't speak for anybody else, but honestly, that's fine with me. If you're self-aware enough to acknowledge your privilege, I don't feel as bad about you using it. She's still a human being. She has wants and dreams and desires. It would be absurd to expect her to just not pursue any of those things because she has a better chance at succeeding at them. It's as unfair with her as it is when it comes to the other people that we've talked about, but I think this highlights that this is a systemic problem. There is not one specific witch to burn that would fix this problem. And I think that's where I want to end this. Like, this is not about any one celebrity. It's really not about any of the celebrities. It's about rich people screwing normal people. Most of the problems in your life are because rich people are screwing poor people. And that's why I'm talking about terms like nobility and the feudal system and all these old, outdated terms, because this isn't new. Rich people getting first dibs on the cookie jar, that's just how it's always been. And if you don't like that, I get it. But if you want to do something about it, think politically, socially. Don't think celebrity. As Lorde once said, we'll never be royals. Very interesting that she's the one who said that, considering that now she is one. Fellas, I'll see you in the next one. And, say something nice to the ladies on the way out.
Hi everybody, it's Ernie Sabella, the voice of Pumbaa from The Lion King. And I'm telling you to like this video and subscribe to Carny's YouTube channel. That's Carny's YouTube channel.